Hey, what's
I'm,
up?
I'm Natasha,
I'm Shekinah.
and we're going to talk about are you single or not?
Are you?
Oh, what does that even mean?
Yeah. Oh my God.
So, the other night we were kind of talking about what does it mean when people say they're single? What does it mean when people say they're not? They're in a relationship, and how to really classify it. And you're married.
I'm married.
How long have you been married?
3 years.
How's that?
It's good. It's ups and downs, but I think I found a good one.
Uh huh, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm single, but I have a boyfriend, but I consider myself single. I'm in a relationship, but I'm single. And so we were kind of talking about that, like what people think that means to be single versus in a relationship, and why you should consider yourself single if you're not married. Maybe you can speak about it because you had a lot to say.
Well, I came from the perspective of when you're single, even though you're in a relationship, you still have to check the single box on applications when they ask,
Yes.
"Are you married, single?" What? You're single, and I actually, believe it or not, was having the same conversation with my sister the other day, and she told my daughter she's single, so her car needs to be clean because she's single, and so obviously she's keeping up appearances, for that whole realm of not being in a relationship, and of course, us women, we come across, I think on both sides you might come across as one way in the beginning of a relationship, or you want to appear one way, even though you may be like a dirty monster, like like under, like when you're not around, other your significant others
Yeah.
or people that you like or are of interest. But she's single, even though she's in a relationship. And we actually got into a deep conversation about it. We just kind of nicked the surface,
Yeah.
speaking about what that would feel like to your boyfriend if he heard you say you were single. Like, what does that sound like? I want to see, like, if you guys have feedback on how you guys feel about what that feels to you if you hear your girl going around saying she's single, even though she's single, because you're not, there's no ring on her finger, you
Yeah.
guys aren't married. So how does that make you feel when you hear your girl talk about she's single, even though she might refer to herself as being in a relationship but still single? Does that nick a nerve, or like how does that feel? I mean, what do you think?
Well, okay, so I know personally, well, first of all, I'm in a relationship, but if someone was to ask me, if a woman was to ask me, I would say I was single. If a man was to ask me, I would just say I'm in a relationship. But I know if I heard my boyfriend going around telling women he was single, I would have a problem with that because we are in a relationship. But, I consider myself single because I'm not married. I don't have someone to depend on. I don't have someone who, life or death situation, I know will have my back. I don't have someone who I know has my back under God's eyes, who has my best interest under God's eyes. So that's why I consider myself single. But, personally, if I heard my boyfriend going around saying he was single, I wouldn't like that. I would prefer he say he's in a relationship.
Relationship.
But when he's talking to women, because if a woman asks a man if they're single, it's
She'll
because
say
they're
she's in.
interested.
Yeah, it's true.
And if a man asks me if I'm single, I'll say I'm in a relationship because I don't want them to get the wrong idea.
Do you think it's common for guys to say they're in a relationship when women ask them, or they'll say they're single? What do you think is for you as a
Oh.
woman? It's natural for you to the opposite sex to say, "Hey, I'm in a relationship," But if a female asks you, you would say, "I'm single,"
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you think men do the same thing?
Like with their guy friends?
Yeah, in general, like with
Oh.
guys versus females. If you're out and you're with your guys, you're hanging out, and a girl comes and approaches a guy
Mm.
out with his buddies, do you think he's gonna be like, "I'm in a relationship," or he's gonna be like, "I'm single"? Just in general, like,
Well, I don't know because I've never heard men speak on this subject at all.
never.
I've never heard men speak on this subject. They either have a girlfriend or they don't. That's how they talk
You
about
know
it.
what? The funny thing is, I've been places with my girlfriends out in a fun entertainment setting, and my girlfriend would say, "Hey, I'm in a relationship," when approached by a guy. But I've never heard on the other side to this day, if I go out, where a guy, you approach them, and I'm 30, in my 30s, where a guy will say, "I'm in a relationship." I
Nope,
never
they just
hear a guy.
always start talking.
They talk.
They just,
They'll
that's so
they'll
true.
continue the
Yes.
conversation, and I feel like sometimes like they might even will lead you on. You
Yeah.
know, like I don't know. Like, you don't really know what their situation
Huh.
is, but I've even known like situations where you friends thought a guy wasn't in a relationship, and turns out he was in a relationship.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna give you an example. So my friend goes to this hometown bar like all the time, like a dive bar, like in her
Mm-hmm.
area, and she was talking and hanging out with this man and his friends all night long. And it took until the end of the night when he walked her to her car that she found out he was not only in a relationship but he was married. And they still
What?
persisted to hang and talk and like have interactions with each other. But he waited till the very end of the night when they already had rapport, when they already started to have like attachment, you know, connection. He waited until
Chemistry.
all of that
Wow.
chemistry already happened before he, you know, confessed. And I don't even think he said he was married, but he said he had like, maybe he did say, I don't know, I wasn't there. But he waited until all of that connection already happened till it would be difficult to like back off to say that he was in, had someone else. And I think men do that often. I think men do that a lot more often than women do because, yeah, like you said, like when I've been in bars, when I've been out with my girls, if I start talking to a guy like back when I wasn't in a relationship, no one ever says they have a girlfriend.
No,
Never. And I'm sure
never.
some of them do.
So do you guys think that's okay to be go that deep into a conversation, hang out with like her friend, that whole situation where he connected with her, and then she found out at the end of the night that he was married? Do you think that's okay? And if so, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with me personally. I think that's a little bit
I think
much.
that's wrong.
I think that's a bit much.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with meeting people and having a good conversation out. I'm just not, unless there's something I can network with you about in my career or for my future. I don't want to exchange numbers with you.
Yeah.
I don't see a reason to keep your number or to keep an interest there between the two of us. But if there's like some networking that can be there, for work or something that can help promote me or him, and or if we can work
Unless
together
it's the
somehow,
way to make me
connection.
money, we don't need to be friends.
Yeah, we don't, you know, because there's nothing else there. Because if you met me based on you looked at me and you liked me and you're interested in me, and you'll be fooling yourself to think that you can actually do something with together networking, knowing that the connection was never a network opportunity in the very beginning. The very beginning, there
Yeah.
was like a connection
It
where
started with attraction.
it started with attraction.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. So for me, I can just talk about for me as a married woman. I don't go out looking for men to give my numbers to men unless there's like a networking opportunity,
Mhm.
and we can be professional about it.
Mhm.
So that's that. But again, I'm speaking from a married perspective.
Yeah.
You're speaking from a single perspective.
Yeah.
So what about that continuance of that relationship that your friend had with this guy? Do you think she was wrong, or do you think, or he was wrong, or how does that work?
Honestly, I think they both were wrong. You know, so she truly was a single person, and he wasn't. And then after knowing that fact, honestly, I have very deep opinions about this. Honestly, I don't care what his relationship with his wife is. I don't care if they agree to see other people. I think the fact that you are continue to be married with someone and then both of you are doing your own thing, I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong under God's eyes. I think that's wrong, a wrong example to set for your friends and the people around you. I think that's wrong. So me as a woman, I could not continue that type of conversation, that type of relationship. Like, you need to completely separate if you two already see yourselves as separate entities. Why? What is the point of you continuing to be married? What is the point of you continuing to like have that facade on your life? So I think they both were wrong. I think it was wrong for him to wait so long to have that conversation, and I think that was wrong for her to continue the relationship afterwards, because the relationship did continue afterwards. And then kind of speaking what you were saying, and if you guys kind of have this like gray area about how you talk about your relationship if you're not married, if you say you're single sometimes, you say you're in a relationship sometimes, let us know in the comments, and let us know why you do it, because I'm really interested to know. But kind of speaking what you said about like meeting, happening to meet men out. You know, whenever I meet a man out, whenever someone like expresses an interest in me, I always say I'm in a relationship, because I'm not interested in that. I have I'm really fulfilled and happy and content in my relationship, and I want it to thrive. And just like you said, like, if I meet some man at the dog park or whatever, we're chatting about our dogs, that relationship needs to end there. There's no reason for us to continue to interact because, like, we're men and women, hormones rage. Probably you started talking to me because of attraction. Even if I was like the ugliest girl in the world, probably you started talking to me because you wanted something from me. And it probably wasn't just like walking our dogs together.
Yeah.
You know, just using that as an example.
Is there such thing as innocent relationships with the opposite
platonic
sex?
relationships? I don't know. I hear people talk about this on the radio.
I hear that, like, I feel like those relations. I think there is, but I also know a relationship can start off as an innocent relationship, and over time, it can become something different later.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? You know, someone's just your friend. You have no interest in them whatsoever. Neither does he.
Yeah.
However, somehow you guys still start to have that attraction at some point in your life. And I have a question there. Do you think that usually happens because you're kind of desperate, or you like now?
Or it's emotional. It's just an emotional relationship.
Like maybe this is the guy you tell everything to, your best friend. Like you guys are
since the third grade.
Since the third grade, you're ride or die, dude, partner. And
he's just your bro.
Exactly. And now all of a sudden you find yourself in feelings about this person. You know, why is that? You know, is it because, you know, maybe you guys, there was a lot going on in your life with relationships, and you were able to speak with him about it, and when you were in a vulnerable state, you just started to get these attractions, or you needed the consoling or the companionship or whatever, what have you. I mean, comment on that, guys. Like, what do you think, like, that's about? Have you had someone that's been in your life forever as a friend, and then all of a sudden you're not just friends anymore? You're waking up next to him, and you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and if you're single, because this episode is about single, right? Or not
single
being
or
single.
not.
You know, if you're single and above the age of 30, how many of you actually feel that you are ready to settle down and you want to be married? And like, why? Like, why aren't you married? Why is it that you haven't found the right guy? Do you feel like it's something about you? What is it? Or do you feel like age is just a number and it's not a fact? You know, it shouldn't have anything to. It shouldn't factor in to where you are in your marital status in life. You know, speak about it. I know for me, I know a lot of women, I should say, and I'm gonna talk about for myself. We feel like when we get to a certain age, we have to be married, or we have to have this house, this husband, these kids, and we see ourselves
this status
at a certain point in our life where we want these things. And are you that woman, or were you a woman that never wanted those things or aspired to have those things, but somehow still ended up with those things? And are you happy there? You know, I feel most people want what they don't have.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you're there and you could totally be single. You could totally not have to be in a marriage, and you want to live your life, and you want to travel, and you want to be free, and you probably feel like you're in a little bit of captivity there. I don't know. like, I mean, I can talk about myself. You know, the weirdest thing is, and then I want you to talk about about your situation.
Okay.
If that's all right.
Yeah.
So for me, when I was younger, I grew up with a mother and a father in my household. So it was just normal to have a man and a woman in the house, like a husband and a wife. But for some reason, I was still a kid, so I didn't have the connection for me when I got older. I should want to have those things. I didn't care about that. I was into my dolls. I love to do hair, so I was into hair a lot. I was just out, you know, doing me into the world. But then I realized once I got older, I had to get serious about my career, my profession, so I focused on those things, and the other parts just started to come along with it. Like, I actually had my daughter outside of a marriage, and she was an amazing blessing, but it also put me in a situation where the things that people want for their kids, that I started to think about the whole family unit much later in life, after I already had a daughter. So to me, that whole unit wasn't important to me. But it was like things that happened in my life that make me feel like, okay, now maybe I should start thinking about other things outside of, okay, I want to do hair in my profession. You know, like, what is that about? Like, how was it for you? Like, were you that type of person that always knew you wanted to be married by a certain age and, you know, have a house and start having kids and what? You know, that wasn't me. But today, you know, I am married. I have two kids, and
Oh, so cute.
yeah, I know. I have a 5 month old, and I have an 11-year-old, and they're such a blessing. And now I'm married. I've been married for 3 years, and we're in the process of like buying our house, and it's fun stuff. It's fun times, but it's also stressful times. These are huge milestones. And again, like I said, I didn't always aspire to want to have a house. I grew up with my dad owned homes. I was a bit of a we were very fortunate as children. My dad owned houses. All the houses on our blocks he owned. He owned airplanes. Like, I didn't, to me, it was like I had that stuff. So it wasn't like something I felt like I needed to grow up to have because I felt like I would always have it. It wasn't like into, we actually hit hard times and we even had to file bankruptcy. And like we went through so much stuff in our family, and me myself personally, the stuff that I went through in my life made me feel like I wanted to start having certain things, like, you know, like a husband, a family, and everything. But these are good times, and you know, but and they're fun times, and everyone's like, oh, I want to have that, but you don't see what actually happens in the midst of, okay, we have to now save money for this house. We have to now, you know, we have a baby, and like for us, we have two children in the process of, it's not traditional. People nowadays, I feel like things are so much different anyway. You usually would want to get married, have kid, buy a house, have children. For us, I had a kid, I got married, I had a child, now I'm buying a house. It's so not traditional.
Not traditional.
But it's still, you know, a lot of people still have babies and live in apartments or condos, and they're not in, or with their family, and they're not in their own home, you know, so it's still like a stressful thing. So I want you to speak on that too. Like, I know originally I asked you to talk about, like, for you and what that's like, me being married, and the whole like husband and wife unit, like what that was for me. Like, what was that for you?
I think that for me, it was a little different. So I grew up in a household, like we always lived in an apartment. We always were kind of in an unfortunate economic situation, and my father didn't work. My father didn't work. He also was not. He also wasn't a father figure. Like I didn't see him. I didn't see him treating my mom or interacting with the family like the same way I saw like my friends' fathers. Like I don't have memories of me and my dad doing things together, my dad providing for the family, my dad like having an active role in raising us. So I think when I became an adult, I didn't feel like I needed a man to do those things for me, and I think it was really detrimental to my relationships. And I think it's part of the reason why I'm still single at 31 years old, because I've always and I had to do things for myself. And so I haven't been very good about allowing someone else to come into my life and do things for me because they want to. And I think we're going to have a little special guest.
Oh, hey, Valor.
Our little Valor woke up.
Maybe not. He was taking on a detour, so he's not coming to us.
But so for me,
that's my son, by the way.
He's so cute.
Thank you.
But so for me, I find myself still single, and I've been really focused on my career. I've really focused on myself, and I think a part of me has felt very unworthy of having a family. I felt very unworthy of having a relationship that can thrive, having someone in my life who could provide for me, who could really love me unconditionally and want to take care of me, because I didn't really see that growing up. I saw that my father loved my mother, but he had no desire to provide. He had no drive to provide. He had no drive to be a father figure, like in the traditional sense. And so, like, to be completely honest, I haven't really felt like, well, maybe I have felt like, oh, well, maybe that's
having a provider.
And I didn't see my mom like advocating that she was worthy of those things, and that my dad needed to provide.
She just accepted whatever.
She accepted life as is.
Yeah, that's so funny that you say that, because for me, I had a dad that was a provider. He went to work, made the money, but because he went to work and made the money, and we had from family.
Mm-hmm.
I also too, I feel it's similar to you. in a
In the
different way.
opposite
It's
sense?
in the opposite sense because I had so much given to me from my dad other than what I had in my own little world, like in my own little bubble. Like to
Mm-hmm.
me, it was like my mother and dad, even though they were in the same household, my mother she didn't work. She was supposed to be a stay at home mom, if you will, but she stayed at home and she just kind of was a depressing sight to see. And I mean, I love my mom, but she never really. Well, that's a whole nother topic, a whole nother
We'll
episode. We're
talk
not going
about
to get
that
into
some other
that.
time.
Yes, we'll have to talk about that another time. But as far as my dad being a provider, he provided so much for me that he taught me so much about changing like tires and brakes on cars, and he
Mm-hmm.
was that man in my life. So I just felt like I never really needed anyone else outside of that. I was always so independent because he taught me how to do so much on my own, so I wouldn't never have to rely on a guy, because or have to be caught in a position where I was vulnerable or in a position where I can be hurt because I needed to depend on a man to change my tire or
Yeah.
come do stuff in my house, or and my brother as well. He also was like that figure that taught me so much. They took my trash out for me. To this day, I'm 32. I just turned 32. My brother opens my doors, and like he will come over and still do stuff for me in my house. So I never anybody outside of that until I found myself with a child. And I'm like,
That's
okay.
so that's so funny because I feel like I've been so independent because I felt like I would not never be able to find someone else to like fostered your
Yeah,
independence.
yeah,
It's kind of funny.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And then the thing is, like, what we both, I think for some people, from your perspective, may feel like they want those things, but like you said, you're not worthy of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, for the longest time, I didn't even care to have those things. I was like, I'm good.
Uh-huh.
I'm good. And I was like off in my own little bubble. But it wasn't until I had my daughter and I started to realize what she was lacking, and me seeing what I went through as a mother, as a daughter, seeing that my mother, just again another episode, there was so much that she did not provide that I wanted my children to be able to have both sides of, okay, you can be provided for not only from your mother and father but for both.
Yeah.
And which is why I decided to, we took the plunge and we got married and all. And I mean,
Not
that's
us,
not just
not us.
not
We.
yeah, yeah
You're like
we,
looking into my eyes when we got married.
we're like married in friendship
Yeah.
perspective, but not that way, obviously. But yeah. So I mean, I think it was.
Yeah. So I have always wanted to get married, and I have always wanted a family, and then it's been recently fostered by bad relationships that I've started to question that. Like, I still really do want to get married. I want that companionship. I want someone that I can rely on, someone I can depend on, and someone whose presence just makes me happy. I've started to question, like, do I want kids? Do I want to raise kids in the type of relationship that I grew up in, that I did not think was healthy, that I did not think was helpful? And I've realized that my past has like hindered my present and future. And I've been reading this book. I was telling Shekinah about it. It's called The Science of Getting Rich, and it really brings up this concept of manifestation of the vision that you want for yourself, and holding that vision in your mind as if it is already presently happening, and putting your thought and emotion into that vision so that God can allow that to manifest for you.
Yeah.
And I've decided, like, if that's really what I want, if I really do want a family, if I really do want a husband, if I really do want to like grow a family, I have to start acting and as if it's already present. I have to
And if you deserve them,
them.
it is so true. I mean, oh my gosh, just in my life, I think in anyone's life, there's things that we fear for and we don't do because of fear, and you block yourself from getting that
You do.
because you don't even see that it's a possibility for you. And the breath, the energy, the time, the
Yeah.
commitment into pursuing something that is not even reachable. And we need to stop doing that on so many levels, not just in a relationship, but just in life in
With
general.
everything in
Because
life.
there's so many things that you prevent yourself from reaching your full potential, and you attract you attract that energy. Like if you're giving yourself negative energy and withholding yourself back, you're going to continue to be in in relationships where you're
Yes.
attracting that negativity towards you. You have to live a dream where it's a life where you're full of just going out and reaching for everything that you want to do, being loud, being happy,
Being
not
you.
being you, just being confident in your own body, and just achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve. Because a lot of times we start limiting ourselves just on other areas in life, and we start to attract, if we think we're not worthy of going out and meeting, if we want to date someone that's a professional, but we're not worthy of that, so we're going to go hang out and meet guys at a club. Now you're just meeting those guys at the club,
But
and
you
then
don't want to meet.
you don't want to meet those guys, so you're stuck with that guy because you never thought you were able to reach anyone out beyond that. Like it was unreachable.
Okay, so this is exactly what happened with my last so my last boyfriend that I broke up with like last fall. He was like my rock bottom. Okay, like sorry if you ever see this, but you were my rock bottom. And it was after that relationship that I decided, and I didn't realize that it was manifestation that I was trying to do, but I decided that I needed to find someone who had all the qualities of the husband that I wanted, and like actively seek out that person and then treat them as if they are my husband, so that they would treat me how I want to be treated, like as a wife. So even though I label myself as single in a relationship, as I'm interacting with my spouse, like I treat him the way that I would want to treat my husband. I honor him the way that I would want to honor my husband, and because of that, I've been treated the way that I have been waiting to be treated forever.
You know, it's so funny that you said you honor him and treat him the way you would want to treat your husband, and you're now back. But you know that doesn't always work out. Like we're talking about bringing, like being the change like you want in your life, and reaching for what you want and putting yourself in places where you can meet that guy.
Yeah.
But I also like listen to talk on the radio where
Yeah.
people feel like you should not actually treat a man or a wife, a woman, like a wife potential if they're not wife or husband potential.
Well, it's true. It depends on that person. Like, if that person does not have the qualities that you're seeking in.
But you know what? I think this is what I think that is, because you still don't think you can be where you want to be. So you're meeting that guy at a place that you don't really want to be.
You have to believe that it can happen for you.
It can happen for you, but it's so weird because for me, when I think about treating, like what Natasha said, as far as treating people like husband and wife potential, that's important, because the way you start off a relationship, it's gonna be like that. That's gonna be now like the pace of the relationship. If you start off a relationship where you start giving stuff, body, sex, whatever,
Yeah,
time.
if you want someone to be your husband, you can't sleep with them on your first date. If that's what you're looking for, a husband, you can't sleep with them on the first date.
You can, but you know, there's like so much stigma that comes with that. And is that the right guy? Is he gonna respect you the way you want him to respect you? And now you might want a relationship, but is he really ready for a relationship after you did that? Maybe eventually, after some time, he might be like, okay, finally, you know, like we can be together, we can get married.
Yeah.
But I truly believe if you want to be with someone and you love that person, or you even like that person before it's a love, you should tell them what's important to you. For me, you know, I'll tell you straight up, look, I was raised with my father, my brother, they took care of me, they took trash out for me, they pumped my gas, I need my gas pumped. Like, you know, I'm just like, and it's not because I'm being stuck up or I have like too high of a standard. I feel like that's just, back in the day, that's, my dad was an old-fashioned guy, so I think that those are certain things that should come along in my relationship that's important to me. And it might not be important to you, but those things should be said in the very beginning. Don't expect this guy to be, after you get married, now opening your doors for you.
Yeah.
Now, like, in our house, and taking the trash out. Like, for us, when we got married, we did all premarital counseling and everything before we got married.
Have you ever done premarital counseling? Let us know.
Yeah. How was that? Did it help your marriage? Did you? Yeah. Let's talk about that, and we should probably do an episode on that too.
Yeah.
But you know, the trash wasn't like a deal breaker for me. If you didn't take my trash out, that's not a deal breaker. But you need to know what your deal breakers are and set those standards from the very beginning. Don't give yourself to the man. Start paying to go out to eat. Always take taking your wallet out to do this, do that, and then expect him to one day wake up and magically be like, oh, I want to take care of you, I want to support you.
Yeah.
No. From the very beginning, you want something from me? Well, I'm not ready for that yet because I don't know. I'm not going to give you me. I'm not ready for that yet. How do I know that after I give this to you, you're not going to just disappear? And then you end up in that same place you were before you met this guy. Why give yourself to someone? That's your precious body, your precious jewel. You should protect that. And if you just like sex and the pleasure, then that's you. Go do you. But don't think you're going to find someone that respects you, want to marry you, and uphold you to the queen you are if you're just giving yourself to whoever and whenever because you just like the pleasure.
Yeah.
It should be more than that. And trust me, when it becomes more than that, the intimacy, the chemistry, everything that's going to be there is going to be so much better, so much more intimate, so much more pure when you have it's more to lose because emotions are involved. It's not only emotions, but it's a stronger connection and chemistry.
If you want to hear more about this, I don't remember the name of the book, but Megan Good and her husband, who is a pastor, wrote a book about celibacy and why they waited to have sex until after they got married. Not saying you have to be celibate, but they talk about these principles about how relationships change and how and why relationships change once you start having sexual intimacy, and the benefits and like negatives of doing it anyway or not doing it. And I think just like knowing those changes and those differences are really helpful whether you're single or not, and looking at your relationship, where it's going, where you want it to go, and knowing what you want and how to use or not use that interaction to really get what you want from your relationship. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that can be our next.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Let us comment and tell us what you want to hear about.
Yeah.
And we're going to be open and honest. When we actually decided to do this, we said, let's just be honest and real and give people, like, ask questions for us. If there's things you want us to speak on, just put the comment down there.
And give us, like, some suggestions for what we should title this vlog. Because we don't have a name yet.
No,
we don't have a name yet, but this is episode 1, and we just want to thank you guys for being here and listening to us. Let us know that you came and stopped by and watched in the comments, and leave us some questions and some suggestions for the name of this.
Yeah, so a question now is for you guys, are you single or are you not single, and do you want to be married but just want someone to pop the question? Do you find yourself desperately like trying to be married and do other things in life, but it's just not happening for you? Why? Why or why not? Do you think it's something that about you, or do you feel that like what is it? What's preventing you from living out that dream? If that's something that you want for you, and I can just tell you real quick, if a lot of it is we don't live our full potential for ourselves, and we expect someone else to come be that other part of our potential to make us full and complete. But you have to complete your circle. You need to be your full potential for yourself. You need to love yourself how you want your man to love you. Him coming in your life only just makes your circle bigger. It doesn't complete your circle.
Your circle's already full.
And if you're looking for expecting, from us in premarital counseling, I learned a lot about expectations. And you don't expect, okay, this guy's going to buy me a house. Now that we're married, okay, I expect this guy to, take my trash out. Like, these are things that you need to talk about. You need to see, before you get married, how well you guys match. Like, what's the compatibility? Does he even care about the things you want? Do he want kids? Do you not want kids? Like, stuff like that. And the other thing is, you also have, it's sad, a lot of people don't think this, but what we learn in our premarital counseling is you have to now talk about that person's family. Because a lot of times, a lot of expectations I have, or I thought, I automatically thought that he would do it because I was raised a certain way with my father. So I expected my man to be able to be that guy. And I also have to be prepared for him to say, I'm not taking your trash out. Hey, I'm not opening your door for you. Because I can't expect these things. It's just a nice to have, and those are things that are my standards. If it's, if it's, I don't even think those are high standards, but I mean,
Those aren't high standards.
they are.
I said they're
Oh,
not.
okay, okay.
They're
I'm
not.
like, whoa. So anywho,
You know
this,
what? We'll be back tomorrow.
yes,
And we're going to
okay.
speak on all of this. And it might get heated, so make sure you're here. Bring some
Yeah.
heat to this conversation.
Put some questions down there. We'll
Yeah.
answer them tomorrow.
All right, bye, you guys.
Bye.
How do we end this?